Oh, I was close.
Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to our not a live stream this week. Not a live stream. This is I'm Beth, BWord, and with me, of course, is Steph, as you can see, because we're videoing in lieu of a live stream this week because we have just had some trouble with time zones and summer lives and coordinating things that we thought we would compromise, meet in the middle, and still record our mugs for you guys to see and upload this way. That mug, this mug, little merch shout out. Yeah, so we're doing the live in lieu of a live stream. I think we're going to continue on with the Zoom coverage of Hot D, and we will miss the comments of you guys. So
you can feel free to comment anyway.
Still, I was just gonna say, still please do comment.
Comment away because it's
to.
been really good.
Yeah, we've loved it. It's been like my favorite part. It's the interaction on the live streams. Yeah. So we're gonna chat about episode 2 now. And also just a little thing
of House of the Dragon.
Of House of the Dragon, yes. If you did want to check out some of our other things, I just want to shout out, we just got a new Patreon. So check out our Patreon. We have I can speak English, I swear. I get dyslexic, guys. I get nervous. I feel like I'm being watched and then I can't speak straight. Anyway, so yeah, we have a Patreon, Kissed by Fire on Patreon. And we did just get a new Patreon. Our beloved Mother of Baggins just joined us on Patreon.
Yeah, boy.
And feel free, Patreons get first dibs at questions, but everyone can ask us questions, how we felt about the show, if there's anything that we want to answer. Just our Patreons get like first dibs if we get a lot of questions, which so far has not been a problem. We haven't really gotten any questions.
We've had a few.
We had one, I think. Yes, the first
we've had a couple of Patreon questions, but like as in if they want to ask us something particular, just get it in. And that will be the first question we answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like about the coverage. Yeah.
Okay. Or about how we felt about certain people in this week's episode. Wasn't it a banger?
It was a complicated. It made me feel all kinds of feelings. It was so complicated.
I know.
I loved it.
I watched it on my own first, and then I watched it with my partner, and it was so fun to watch his reactions.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Like at certain times he was just sitting there going, huh, what, huh? And then there was a point where I went, so how are you feeling about Otto Hightower? And he was like, I don't even know.
I've never felt so dirty.
Confused.
Than I did this week, agreeing with Otto as much as I did.
Do I like Otto?
What's happening?
Yeah, it was weird.
It's a complicated episode.
I actually
that's what I think makes it so good, right?
I know.
It's like when in Thrones,
good writing,
when you're watching like the Battle of the Blackwater, and there's just people on either side, and you kind of don't want either side to lose for different reasons. You don't necessarily want them to win,
and I don't like Stannis. You know, and you're like, I want no one to win, but I want no one to lose.
Yeah, but at that point it was like, but I want Tyrion to win because I liked him at that point. And I wanted Davos to win because I liked him at that point. It was complicated. And this episode sort of felt that way. It was very complicated. You can see the moving pieces. You can see the chessboard getting laid out really well.
You can see how they've taken George's thing that it's written by maesters and septons who are based in Old Town. And therefore, and the Hightowers, their title is something like Protector of the Citadel, something of the faith. Like they are in it together. They are a threesome, a menage a trois.
They are.
So if you're going to have a book written about histories where one of the people in it is the Hightowers, of course, the book is going to be written very much against one of those people. And you can see that it's actually a lot. You can see them doing the green propaganda in the show for the small folk, but you can see, therefore, you're going, oh my God, so is Fire and Blood green propaganda the whole way through? Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Going, oh, because I had, like, with Blood and Cheese, been going, wow, that was a really shit thing of Rhaenyra to do. And you're like, wait, was it not actually her?
But it wasn't, even in the book, it wasn't her.
No, I know, but as in, there's I feel like there's an implication that she kind of knew about it or was part of it or okayed it, but it's just, or that she certainly maybe facilitates
I
Damon's
felt
behavior. I just feel like there's more of an emphasis that she's
she
part
was
of this.
totally in the dark. So I never really felt like
Yeah.
she knew about it in the book,
Yeah.
but I did feel like she didn't necessarily hold him accountable for it.
No.
Right? Like she didn't disapprove of it once it was done. So this really countered that. You saw that like
Yeah.
behind the scenes argument.
She
It
sends
was
him away.
stunning. The acting was amazing. It was great to see like just a concise art. And Emma's facial acting in this episode as well, just like last week, was
Oh
phenomenal.
no.
Just
She has such a
the
beautiful face
moment
though,
that it
as well.
dawns on Rhaenyra that he was involved.
The bit where it's
was so
Rhaenys
good.
who
Yes,
gets it
it was
first.
so
Rhaenys is
good.
like, uh-huh. And Damon's like, uh-huh. And
Mhm.
then Rhaenyra is like, oh
I love
shit.
that, but
I'm
Rhaenyra's just
big.
like, "Oh, honey, don't you think?" Like, and then suddenly she's like,
Oh fuck. Yeah.
"It was you."
I
Yeah.
really enjoyed Rhaenys saying, mind yourself
Yes.
to whoever
Yeah.
that guy is. I don't know
To
who
the
anyone
men, I
is.
know, checking the men in the room. I love that.
Yeah,
She's
mind
so good.
yourself.
Yeah.
I have so many feelings, like we've said, I've got so many feelings about Otto
Mhm.
this episode. But we probably should talk about how we're going to structure this, because it's not going to be a
Right.
long
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
What we've decided to do, rather, because there's so much content out there that is like, let's summarize the episode.
Mhm.
You've probably all watched that, so we're not gonna
And
do
you
a
guys have all
full.
watched the episode.
You've
Ooh,
all
my
watched
light
it.
just fell. Probably twice, at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you
if
don't
you're
need us to
obsessive
summarize
like
what
we are.
happened. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was take a few things, like maybe 3 things each or something like that, or just 3 things, I don't know.
Yeah.
That stood out to us in the episode, themes, ideas,
feelings,
scenes that felt more.
Mhm.
So I think Otto is going to be one of
Otto,
those.
and like linked into that, I think, is like you said, like green propaganda.
Green propaganda,
It
sure.
might even be the first time we experienced like propaganda in Westeros really strongly.
Well, we did have it with Cersei sending out, and Stannis
But
sending out
that's
letters that
technically
Cersei's children
like
were
on the timeline that's
illegitimate.
later. I mean, like at to this point in
Oh,
history.
that's in the history, right? Yeah. Maybe. I'm
On the
trying to think
actual
if
timeline.
Maegor did any, because he needed
He
people
should
on
have
side.
done. Yeah. He didn't. I feel like most of the other Jaehaerys did propaganda for sure. So
Yeah. Oh, he
yeah,
did.
maybe
He
Jaehaerys, yeah.
sent out those
He
7
did.
people to
Yeah.
tell everyone
Yeah.
how awesome he was and how incest is fine for
Yeah.
Targaryens.
Yeah. And if you're just finding us on YouTube, we also have a podcast where we are covering Fire and Blood. So if you want to check out,
That's our main
that's our
series.
main stuff. Yeah. So if you want to check out that podcast, we are
We're taking a little break. We have the next episode ready to drop for the public. It's already gone out for patrons. That's the main episode. Is the next one is going to drop in August after Hot D, because you guys have got enough to worry about without thinking about Fire and Blood while we're all hot D'ing. But so that'll drop in August. But yeah, that's where we're covering the main story of Fire and Blood.
The main story, yeah. And right now we're sort of smack in the middle of the reign of Jaehaerys. So
we certainly are.
So yeah.
In fact, I had an interesting discussion with one of our other patrons, Marcus, who said that Jaehaerys, I can't remember his exact words, so I don't want to misquote him. But essentially, Jaehaerys didn't have a problem with women, is what he was saying. And I was like, I
think I've had this conversation with Marcus before. I think on the Devil's Fingers Patreon stuff, I've been like,
oh really?
No, not true.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah,
actually have a problem.
He might not have as much of a problem with women as some of the other people that we see, like just using Kristen Cole or Otto, for example.
God, yeah.
But he does. He definitely does. He's just he has a superiority complex.
Yeah, definitely.
We love you, Marcus. Thanks for supporting us.
We love Marcus. I love the fact that our followers and patrons can feel that they can disagree with us, because that's what we do. We spend our podcast just disagreeing with each other.
We do.
That's the whole point.
We bicker like crazy. That's the point.
Disagree agreeably.
Yeah. And
say what you think, but don't be mean. And that is all we ever do. That's all we ever want. Yeah.
The series in general and this show as well, it's all meant, it's the heart in conflict with itself, and we're all meant to pick up and relate to different things based on our own personal experiences. Totally. So it makes sense that people are gonna view characters differently based on how they relate to them.
Please excuse me chugging some Earl Grey tea here. It's delicious, and I don't want it to go cold yet. Anyway, we should get into things that we came up with, things that we thought. I wrote a few things down.
Mm-hmm.
There are many themes. One of the themes that obviously is coming up is duty is sacrifice. What that means, that's what Craig and Stark said. But there were a few things that came up for me, particularly this episode. And the first one is parenting.
Yeah, massively.
And comparing different parents, what they've done, especially Rhaenyra and Alicent, their relationship with their own children.
And I hate comparing mothers.
I do, I think, but that's what we're obviously meant to.
We're meant to. You're supposed to pick a side, and you're supposed to sort of dissect what they're doing and everything.
Excuse me, that was like a massive gulp of tea. It's like, I don't want it to go cold. I've got to drink it all really quickly. Yeah, that was like a cartoon gulp. Apologies. Yeah, we're meant to, and it sucks, but that's what we're meant to do. We've got Alicent and her 3, and her 3 children are messed
fucked up. Yeah.
I didn't want to say fucked up, but I mean that. When I say messed, I mean fucked.
Yeah. My light keeps
Your
jumping
light is like, I know. It's got bonkers. Erectile dysfunction.
It's a little floppy. Whoa, it's blinding me now.
Yeah. I just realized it's really dark in my office. I should probably turn the light on. But
you're all right.
It's fine. It's a good lighting for me. It stops people seeing my wrinkles.
No, stop. Oh my God.
But anyway, so she's got her 3 children. We can go them one by one. We've got Aegon, who is just a fuck up. Like, he's a rapist fuck up. We know that. We've already had a scene where she catches him masturbating onto the heads of the small folk, and she sort of slaps him and is like, sort your shit out.
But she doesn't. She doesn't kink shame him though. She just is like,
she's like, okay, whatever.
She does that because he has just raped a handmaid. That's why she's just having some
But when he's about to be crowned, he's like, do you love me? And her response is, are you stupid?
I know.
Okay.
I know. And I think the difference is meant to be, Jesus, this light is killing me.
What is happening with you?
I don't know. This
it's just flopping around all over your face.
I know it is. I've floppy things flying at me right now. The difference is meant to be, I think, that we see that Rhaenyra's children were born out of a loving relationship, and even though
a loving polycule,
exactly. Like, and that's what I was going to say is, even though they weren't Laenor's children, they're also still raised with love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just it feels really different that and then Alicent's was like this, sort of forced, manipulated marriage. She doesn't connect with the children from the marriage. Maybe if she had more choice, the relationship with her kids would have been different. I don't know. But she does talk in this episode about, I don't want to jump ahead. I do want to talk more about Aegon, but she does say that they would do this, like what Blood and Cheese would do to my sweet Helena. So she does have affection for them. She just doesn't seem to know how to parent.
I know. And I wonder what she was like when the children were little. Like, we see her,
but we just see
Helena
her,
and Aegon
like PTSD,
with the babies.
like, or post-traumatic, like.
We do see her, I think it's holding, I think she's pregnant with Helena and she's holding Aegon.
I thought she was pregnant with Aemond and holding Helena.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yes, she is. She's holding Helena, and Helena is crying, and she looks like
spaced out.
Glassy-eyed.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if she's, not known how to mother. I think if you are... I'm writing a character in a book who's not a particularly good mother at the moment. Like, not when I say not particularly good, pretty bad. But actually, someone I was working with said, "What are they? Just an abusive, crappy person, or is there something behind it?" And I'm like, I actually think that this person didn't want to be a mother, and having children just reminds them of having to be a mother, the sacrifice you always have to make to be a mother.
Yeah.
And how difficult it is to be a parent. And I think that's how they end up being the way that they are. And I think Alicent she's quite traditional, so she probably did want to have children some way, but the way
she probably never considered not having children.
Yeah. But the way she became pregnant, it wasn't a loving relationship. It was kind, but you saw her while she's having sex with Viserys.
And she's checked out.
dead in the eyes. Yeah. She doesn't want this.
I also think it's important to look at the role models that they had, right?
Like, you know, like, well, we don't know what Allery
Florent and or like. How long. We know that she has passed away maybe somewhat recently by the time
I think it is
starts.
Somewhat recently.
Maybe last year or two was sort of the impression I got. But those are really important developmental years of Alicent's life, to not have a mother around, and then to be manipulated by her father.
Yes.
You know, where we have Rhaenyra, who, you know, had a very loving relationship with her mom, was really free to be who she was. She also had a decent relationship with Viserys up until the marriage to Alicent, at least. Like, I know it broke off a bit.
Up until the death of Emma.
Yeah. But he does sort of come back around, and he does, you know, they do start to you know, try and rebuild a little bit a few times here and there.
But in this episode, Aegon, to go back to him, he's crying. Like, he's an interesting one, because I think his upset is definitely because he's sad about his son.
Oh yeah.
But his first response is, he was my legacy, he was my heir. Not, that's my baby.
Yeah.
He's thinking about the future.
Yeah.
They are in a very interesting position, because in the books there is another child, a son, who would be the heir next.
Yeah.
But they've obviously not added them in.
Not yet, anyway.
So now Aegon is in the same position. I think it was Indie Geek who, in his summary, said Aegon has only got a female heir.
Yeah,
or a wayward brother.
Or a wayward brother, yeah.
Aemond is very unpredictable. He's, you know, he's a bit like Daemon.
Same position his father was.
Yeah. So it's like you've got to name your daughter or your slightly off the charts brother as your heir. And that, what I'm worried about is that there's going to be pressure on him to make an heir, and he might hurt Helaena.
Oh God.
I'm worried. I was thinking about the other night, I was like, because he's got form.
Yeah.
And he might need to make a new heir. I would be devastated if he were to do that. But I feel like there's room for it to happen, because he needs an heir.
And it would mirror something else in the later story with Aerys and Rhaella. And they've used other points. So like Emma's death was a lot like Alyssa's death in the books. Jaehaerys' mom, right? Jaehaerys and Alicent's mom. So if they did take that sort of Aerys gets really violent, and that's how Daenerys is conceived, right?
Yeah.
Way later on.
I just got so they might thinking about it. That's how much I
know it would be horrible.
I don't want him to do it, but I think he might, actually. Yeah. But he's crying. He's devastated. He's going through terrible shit. And Alicent just walks out. And I've heard some people say, oh, well, you know, she's just leaving him to grieve. But I didn't really get that. I got her kind of like, I don't know what to do with this.
I don't think she knows how to comfort the kids. And we see Helaena literally just put, every time she tries to comfort her, last season, this season, Helaena doesn't want it. She pushes her away.
No. She doesn't have season. In the cart, she puts a hand on her knee, and Helaena is like
cringing away from her,
and pulling away.
Yeah.
And you can see when she's panicked in the cart, which, oh God, that scene, I've watched it twice. I've cried twice.
Yeah.
With the baby, the little boy with his neck sewn up, and Helaena having to do this because it's her duty to do it again. Like Alicent, I feel like Alicent could have said to Otto, I'll do it on my own. Don't put Helaena through this. But you can see Helena's having this awful panic attack, and she can't even just put her head on her mum's shoulder.
No.
And be like, I just want to bury myself into you.
But the thing
She's
is,
like,
Alicent
I don't want to touch you. You can see her body language going.
But Alicent would have been like, yes, I will comfort you. But Helaena wanted nothing to do with it.
But you've seen a number of times.
Yeah.
You've seen it a number of times. There's the time where Helena's playing with her bugs, and Alicent puts her hand on her shoulder, and Helaena moves away. And there's the time where Helaena she comes in, and Helaena says the thing about the beast beneath the boards.
Yes.
And she goes, oh, my love. And she puts her hand on her, and Helaena moves away.
So I wonder what she's seen. She must
have seen something? Or
that's what I think.
Is that it? Is that the prophetic
Yeah, or she's just not comfortable with
her.
touch very much. I don't know, because she, like we've talked, she's sort of, you know, neurospicy, right? She's got,
yeah, quite
I don't
possibly.
know. I also really, I think they purposely juxtapose these two, but you have this made me so sad. I really wanted Aegon to comfort Helena because he kind of did in the first episode. You have nothing to be scared of. It's okay. And then obviously not this time. They pass each other on the stairs. She looks at him, maybe thinking that he will say something or comfort her or something, or they can grieve to, like, I just feel like she was expecting something and he just keeps walking and she's like, oh, okay.
Although apparently Tom Carney playing Aegon said that was them having a moment.
Oh.
And that was them sharing. And I was like, I don't necessarily get that. And the second time I watched it, I was like, are they having, I can kind of maybe see, but
so
if you are a sort of slight sociopath like Aegon seems to be, maybe that's your version of having
maybe that's your move. Yeah, version. Because like I was gonna say, juxtaposed to that, we have Jace and Bela, who are betrothed.
Oh, I know.
Have this wonderful moment talking about really openly about their parentage, their, you know, what they've been through with their families and what do you remember, and really opening up to each other. So I think we're meant to see the difference.
Definitely.
In the way
that
the
was very
relationships
touching.
work. Yeah.
Although people have been talking about the foreshadowing of the crossbows firing at Jace.
Yeah.
But
there was a few really good foreshadowing moments in the
there have
episode.
been.
Aemond holding up the coin over
The
his
coin to his eye. Speaking of Aemond, like his scene, his body reminds me of
Voldemort.
You know, in Voldemort. Yes,
yeah,
Voldemort.
Everyone. Yeah,
I was like,
that was so weird. That was
have they? I wonder if they've computed or like said, right, you need to contort yourself this way. We're going to make you look slightly odd. Like he, I don't know. Because I don't want to body shame someone.
No, I don't want to body shame someone. I think the positioning
ripped.
of his body.
Did you see his muscles?
I know. I think he's meant to, like, it's like you want to make yourself look as weak or as babyish in this. It was so weird. It was weird. That whole scene was weird.
And she tries to sexualize him, and he's like, "No, I want you to be my." Did you see the dwarf person bringing him milk, his hot milk?
Yeah.
To hang out with his
But
mommy.
It's so strange because he had a relationship with Alicent last season. She's pulled away from him. Yeah. She even, like, she goes to him over Aegon a lot of the time. You know, find your brother. And like they do have a relationship. Maybe he's just like feeling classic, like youngest child, I have to be responsible for my wild older brother.
But also,
he said she backed away from him.
Does she comfort? Yeah, and she's had back, and is she a comfort to him? Like, he obviously goes to this woman, and also she was the woman who I think took his virginity.
Yeah, she was in the brothel when they were. She was in the
brothel, so I think this is a new thing because she hadn't seen him for ages. She's like, "Oh, I remember you. I know who you are." So I think this is a new activity, and he goes there and he has his hot milk, and she cuddles him and tells him that everything's going to be okay, but makes a very good point, which we should come on to later, about basically when princes lose their temper, it's other people that pay, and it's the small folk. But he like needs his mummy. It's that bit got me. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was odd.
And speaking of sons, we have the first mention of Daeron.
We do. That was exciting. I was like, there he is.
There he is. But by comparison, you've got Rhaenyra, who we have a whole scene of her playing with her children.
Yeah.
Attentive.
I think she was also really grieving in that moment. Yeah. Like, she was like, this could have been my baby. What happened to Jaehaerys? Yeah.
I know.
She was seeing this.
She's got empathy. She's empathizing. But you can see that Jace is completely devoted to her.
However, when she's like, no, Jace, you can't fly out. And then the next scene, she's like, Bela, you go.
Yeah.
I was like,
I know.
Oh, okay.
Bela, I depend on you. Yeah. Absolutely no one can go, but you can.
So. Absolutely. No, it was absolutely, I'm not risking my son's life, but you can go. So that was a little shitty.
Yeah. Well, she needs someone to do it, but she can't possibly lose another baby of hers.
No, and Rhaenys is mad.
But then you do get a chat. You get the chat between.
She could go.
It's true.
But then you get also, like, sorry, I'm interrupting you. There's often give and take on the green side in the previous episode. Like, no, you're the king, you can't do this, or no, you're the heir, you shouldn't do this. So just to be a little bit
Yeah,
less critical of her choices. Yeah.
I think she's probably right not to go. She'd be in massive amounts of danger.
Yeah.
And you do get the conversation, speaking of parenting, between Jace and Baylor. We've mentioned it before about their fathers. The other thing we get is we hear more about Baylor and her relationship with Daemon. And doesn't she say something like, sometimes I hate him?
Sometimes I hate him.
I can understand that. Like, he's not a good person.
No.
I can't imagine what he must have been like on a day-to-day basis as a father.
Yeah, I just feel like absent, you know?
He was attentive to her because she was a dragon rider.
Because she was a dragon rider early, but like I feel like maybe after the death of Rhaenyra, maybe not as much. I don't know.
But when Baylor walks in and sees that he's been in there and there's smashed shit everywhere,
she's perceptive enough to be like,
okay.
Something's wrong.
And in fact, actually, that scene with Rhaenyra and Daemon was amazing. And the threat of his violence, because he has been violent to her before.
Yeah. At least once.
Well, at least once more. That we've seen.
Yeah.
And you can see that he's going for it. And I think the only thing that really holds him back is like, she's properly the queen and you will get your head chopped off. What do you think holds him back? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. In the book, I think it's really clear that Daemon didn't, like, there's a few things in this that sit funny with me, and it all comes down to Daemon's motive. And so, like, Aemond says at one point in the brothel scene, he was trying to kill me. How does Aemond know that? Because the coins were missing from his map? It was just like, that jump to conclusion really bothered me.
Hadn't they found out that from Blood? He'd been tortured and said, go and get Daemon. Go and get Aemond.
Yes, thank you. That helps me. Yes, that's probably why. Yes. So I don't know, like, it cuts in episode 1 with the blood and cheese stuff, like, it cuts. It doesn't say when they say, what should we do if we don't find him? We don't know what Daemon said.
No.
I find the show does a really good job of cutting out those moments where Daemon might have done the really bad thing, just to leave it as, like,
do you think he did do the bad thing?
Or was it
a genuine mistake?
I think he said someone has to pay. I don't think he said find a baby and kill it. But I think he was ambiguous enough with his request. If it's not Aemond, someone has to pay. Well, they kept repeating
a son for a son.
Yeah. So yeah, it's possible that that's just what he said. Someone, any of them have to pay. But yeah, I don't think he specifically was like, go find the baby and chop his head off.
No.
You know, I don't know. So, but I think in Daemon's case, like, he hates being questioned. He hates having to justify what he's done. And he keeps saying over and over again, I didn't order the death of a child. This was a mistake. And so I think he's just like, me being violent with Rhaenyra isn't going to make her see what I'm trying to say at all. It's not going to further my cause. He's very calculated, even when he's rash. So I think if he had gone up and choked her again, like he did in that previous episode, all he would do is further her to believe that he had done that.
Yeah, and that he can't be trusted.
What he needed to do in that moment was get down on his knees and say, you are my queen. You're
my queen.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't want it.
I don't want
That's what he needed to say.
Yeah. Yeah. He just needed to show her loyalty in that moment, and the scene might have gone really differently.
Yes.
But it's not his capabilities.
I have 2 things more to add for parenting. You might have some more. We back to Baylor and Jace. They talk openly about his fathers.
Yeah.
Does he know then? Is he like, I know that Harwin Strong's my dad?
He says it in the funeral episode with Laena's funeral.
Does he say it openly?
No, he says it to Rhaenyra. He says we should be grieving too.
But he hasn't said because he's my dad.
He kind of did. He said something along those. I can't verbatim. I can't remember, but he says,
I don't remember that.
We should be grieving our father as well, or something like that. And she's like, don't you say that out loud, or something along those lines. I think he's, he knows.
Like, he knows, and obviously Baylor knows. Like, they're comfortable saying, I just think the chosen father and the official father obviously did a good job being male role models to him.
Yeah.
and being father figures. He's such a lovely person, and I'm very sad about what is going to happen to him.
I know. It's gonna break my heart.
And the other thing, the other parenting is Alan and Adam of Hull
Mm-hmm.
are like, they have said Corlys owes us.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you're unsullied, if you've not read the books, you don't know. And this is a spoilers all books, spoilers all shows, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But Corlys is their father. So
Corlys is their daddy. Yep.
So is this an acknowledgement saying we know he's our dad? He doesn't know he's our dad, but he owes us because he's our dad.
I think I think that if they're saying he owes us, it's because he knows that he's their dad. I mean, you could maybe not know that you were the father of one, but you're probably going to know if you're the father of two.
I don't know. It depends.
On the same woman.
I suppose.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess they haven't actually said that. Are they both born of the same mother? I don't think they've actually said that. But in the books, yes, their mother is Mouse. She's a really cool character.
Yeah.
She's kind of not super prominent, but you can tell she's got some badassness to her. I'm
interested to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, me too. I wondered if they would just, if he's going to try and, because in the books he claims that they're Laenor's kids. I wonder if he's going to claim they're Vaemon's kids. But then Vaemond wouldn't have any blood, any dragon rider blood.
If they are dragon seeds, how can they be Corlys's?
I know. I've been thinking that too. I'm like, there's obviously married into Targaryens, so I'm just missing where, for sure.
Like he's a Velaryon through and through. So where?
Yeah, but they married. I mean, look at they married Targaryens at some point. His grandma's a Targaryen. I'm just not remembering who it is right now. But in order
to be able to be a dragon rider,
yeah, they have Targaryen blood in there
for sure. But that's why it made more sense that Laenor was their dad, because he has Targaryen blood.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But so does Corlys. I just don't remember exactly where. But they married the Velaryons as well. They married back and forth. They were like the only family they really married for a while. Like, look at Alyssa. Alyssa was Alyssa Velaryon, who married Aenys. Like, what's his name?
Yeah. But we know where all of them ended up. I don't remember him having any Targaryeniness in him.
I'm pretty sure.
Because all we know is that his father was Corwin and his wife was unknown.
Interesting.
So,
but I feel like it talks about in early Fire and Blood that they marry each other back and forth. The Velaryons.
True. But I think
they're both.
I think essentially they're just fudging it a bit. Because I think it makes more sense that they're Laenor's children. But it also doesn't, because he's gay. So and he couldn't have children.
But Corlys does, I think, come out and sort of essentially officially say they're mine.
He officially says that they're his, but I don't know. Let's see what they do. We don't.
Yeah, they definitely can't be Laenor's. They look like they're at least his age or older. So they definitely can't be
well,
Laenor's.
That's what I mean. Like, are they younger in?
They are younger in Fire and Blood. Yeah, they are.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I was really curious about that. There's I don't know if it falls under the theme of parentage, but it bears noting that we do see some more faces that are going to be important later. We meet Ulf, and we see Hugh again.
We don't. Yeah, Ulf isn't. I didn't pick up on Ulf until I watched something. I was like, oh, that's Ulf the White. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not super clear, but we're going to see him again.
Hugh the Hammer,
and we have Hugh the Hammer
his
already.
Daughter.
Yeah.
But
isn't his daughter? Everyone's saying daughter, but I swear in the episode he says, "How is he?" I thought it was his son. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. His child.
But that moves us. Speaking of Hugh the Hammer, that moves us nicely onto the second thing that I think comes up a lot, and I think is going to come up massively in the rest of the season.
Yeah,
and continues the small folk, and we see so much more of the shit that they go through in Hot D. It's a really important part of the story, and I'm really glad that they're not just going to kind of suddenly a thing happens later on, but we've got no build up to it. You're seeing how these people are being starved, prices are going up of everything. The king has promised that he would help pay them, and you can see why Hugh the Hammer's gone to Aegon and said, we need money now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
You know,
costs us money to do what you're asking us
yeah,
to do. You have to pay us for
yeah.
the
And because
material.
of the war, the prices have gone up of everything.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need this, and it's you can see that and then you get what Aegon does by hanging all of the rat catchers.
After all of Otto's hard work. Oh
All
man.
you can see why Otto loses his shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, you've because in the books it's like hundreds of people. It is bodies upon bodies hanged outside the walls.
Yeah.
And it's what the prostitute said to Aemond, like, kings and princes get angry and it's other people, it's the small folk that pay, and all those innocent people, so he could catch one person.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he couldn't
says
like, he's very
hundreds
much
of innocents,
like,
but one guilty one, and that's all that matters.
He really likes to round people up. We've had a lot of scenes where people have rounded up. Could he not have questioned them? Could Larry Strong not have questioned the rat catchers?
Or just like hold your temper for a minute. It's like Otto keeps saying, hold your temper for a minute. Talk to Blood some more. Let him identify Cheese. And then kill them. Like, have some strategy. There's just no strategy happening. It's all emotion for Aemon. Or Aegon, sorry.
And then, we get Helaena as well. She's like, I do not wish to be close to them. I don't know them.
Yeah.
And some people might call that quite heartless, but she's grieving. And I'm like, how much do you want to be around people you don't know and on display?
Yeah.
And also, especially and it makes me feel worse for her, because it's not like she's like, I just want to be around people who make me feel comfortable. She hasn't got any.
No one makes her feel comfortable. I know, except her babies.
I know. Oh, but I did find it weird. Like, why would they start closing in on her on that cart, going, hello?
I think it's just like, like you're in the UK, so when royal processions happen and stuff, people are feeling a lot as well. The people grieve for so like when Princess Diana died, for example, they had the streets lined and stuff like that. Or when the Queen died, everyone was, there trying to line the streets and everything. And I do feel like there is this, like, I want to touch you, I want to comfort you, and not understanding that is not what this person needs.
As a British person, can I just say that we're so emotionally stunted and formal? Can I say there's always a sense of formality. So there has been outpourings of grief at different times, like when the Queen Mother died, the Queen died, Princess Diana died.
When Diana died, for sure, there was people bawling on the streets.
Yeah,
and stuff,
but they would never have
try and touch
the royal family. Like,
but yes, they did. You saw hands come out.
People try and shake their hands. That's fine. You can shake their hands, or like, and they walk past,
touch their arm, or like there's when Diana died, there was a lot of I think mothers especially trying to touch and comfort the boys when Diana died.
Oh God, yes.
I think and like, as a mother myself, like, I can see it. I can be like, oh my gosh, this person's grieving. Oh, I just wish I could give them a hug, even though I've never met them and they don't want a hug from me. Right. So not that that's how the Helaena scene felt necessarily. Like, you could see Helena's discomfort. And the crowd just seemed weird. It was a weird scene.
I feel like there was just a very slight disservice to the small folk, in that it makes them seem like kind of zombie, celebrity crazed, animalistic, so stupid that they're like, I want to touch the person.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And I didn't like it. It was my least favorite scene of the whole show.
Yeah, I didn't like that bit. I understand why they did it, but I feel like they could have done it better.
But I just felt like it was very like cattle. Oh, they're believing what we're telling them.
Look at the stupid masses, the huddled masses, the mob. Aren't they dumb? And I was like, they may want to reach out, but what's with the zombie-ness?
Yeah.
Brains.
A curse on Rhaenyra. Like, even the wording, it was just strange. It was not my favorite.
Oh, I didn't mind that as much. It was the bit where they tried to grab her. I was like, and just sort of closed in.
But it was just even the way everyone sounded. Maybe it was just like everyone sounded that way because they were.
Who was this?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird.
A curse on Rhaenyra.
Yeah. And sparing the king having to be in public and weeping.
Well, you don't want him to look weak. It's all right for women to look weak.
It's all right for women to look weak. That's our role. Did you know? Yeah.
I want to move us to the next bit though, because I think it's the bit that we're going to want to talk about the most. Well, I think there's two things we're going to want to talk about the most.
Okay.
And the next one on my list is Otto.
Otto.
Just the theme is Otto. And that, wait, he's awesome? What?
Would we go that far? Would we say awesome?
No, but he was awesome in this episode. I think what you see in this episode is that he's actually, we've often thought of him as just a plotting ghoul.
And there's tons of
he's
plotting
a bad
in this
baddie,
episode.
and there's tons of plotting. But for the first time, you see him as a deft politician. That he's thinking about the long game.
Yeah,
because you are generally speaking, you're just like, he's just a baddie and he just wants blah. And actually, you're going, oh, hang on, does he actually want peace? And I've just assumed that he hasn't wanted peace.
No, in the episode before this, we were told that he knows there's going to be violence. We know he doesn't want peace. Yeah. He just wants calculated violence.
And I know
he wants to be involved in the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just basically been a turd up to this point. But the speech he makes to Aegon is incredible. And also what really stood out to me was was he kind of saying that he doesn't believe Alicent's words when she says that Viserys' last words were that she wants Aegon to be king? Because he was like, Viserys made me king. And he's like,
did he though?
You think that, do you? Yeah. His laugh there was amazing. I loved that laugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Oh, you actually bought that?
Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking, is Otto saying he thinks Alicent's lying? He thinks his daughter is lying? And does he think that that's the sin? Because that's the other part of parenting we didn't mention was Otto and Alicent. She kept trying to talk to him, and he's like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, Otto's like, la 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 la.
So is that the sin he thinks that she's commit?
I wondered if he just was like, oh, you're exploring. I don't want to hear about that. I thought he maybe knew sex.
I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I think he's basically admitted that he doesn't think Viserys' last words.
He was plotting that already. She learns that on the council, on the Green Council episode, that he was plotting it already.
But
so it wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter to him whether.
No, it didn't matter to him. But the point is that Aegon says to him, "My own father wanted me to be king. He named me as king." And Otto laughs in his face and is like, basically, like, believe that if you want to, but that's not true. And I read that as he thinks Alicent is making it up. I'm just going to close my window because I realize it's probably making a really loud noises outside, and that will be annoying on the audio for everybody. So give me 1 second. Talk about something, Beth.
Yeah, I will do that. I also felt like it was really prominent in this episode where, like, you don't really realize it before this episode how much Otto and Alicent are trying to, or have not even trying to, have manipulated Aegon. So he's a victim too, right? He's a messy victim, but he's just as, he's in there as a victim. He didn't really ask for this. And in the books it's really prominent where he's like, I don't want my sister's the heir. I don't want this. And then
I don't want it.
And then they're like, well, she'll kill you, so you're just gonna have to take it. So I think that's an important mention with the Otto stuff as well, is that he was really prominent in manipulating poor Aegon.
Definitely.
And Alicent maybe less so. The show's made it so it seems a little bit more altruistic, like she really maybe believes this. But
well, she kept saying to Aegon, your life will be forfeit if Rhaenyra gets the heir.
Yeah.
She has said it to him many, many times. Gets the heir. You know what I mean?
Gets the heir. Gets
the throne. Is the heir to the throne. You know what I mean?
I do.
The other thing I found really interesting about Otto's speech was that he misses Viserys. And I think he was genuine in what the compliments he was laying at his feet. Like, he was for his forbearance. He was a good man. I also think that he misses him because he was pliable.
Yes, exactly.
He could control him.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I've written down in my notes that it reminds me of how sometimes we feel. I've expressed this a few times, how I felt politically, in the last few years when I've missed. So in 2010, we had an election, and it was the first Conservative government for 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I hated it, and it was awful. It was the Prime Minister was called David Cameron, but then after 2016 there was Brexit, which was just has made everything crazy and populist, and there's so much more racism now, and get foreigners out and blah 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 blah. And I'm genuinely like, I miss the times when it was just ordinary political disagreements. I don't want David Cameron back.
Simpler times.
I just miss the simpleness of somebody who wasn't great but wasn't like offensively bad. Like he did do terrible things, and he was terrible about austerity and took benefits from disabled people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, but it wasn't as offensively awful as it is now.
Yeah.
And I'm like surprised myself. I'm like, God, I do kind of miss those days when it was just sort of, oh, why aren't they investing in the roads? Not like, why are we like demonizing foreign people and trans people? Or do you know, when it's just such a dirty mudsling situation now.
It makes me, it's so gross.
Yeah. I like your top.
Thank you.
Just seen your nippy hearts.
Yes, my nippy hearts.
But this is what I wonder, if Otto's is like, oh, I miss those days. Like Viserys wasn't actually a great king in many, 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 many ways.
Yeah.
But my God, he's better than the shitfest of Aegon. And it's that feeling of, I just want it back. Simpler times when it was just a slightly incompetent king.
And I don't disagree, but I also almost relate it more to like, they really wanted, it reminds me of later on, they really wanted Aegon to be like Tommen instead of a Joffrey. You know? Yeah. It's like, who can we easier manipulate?
Yeah. But then Cersei complains that Tommen isn't like Joffrey.
I know.
She shames him. It's awful. And the irony of it is that Jace is exactly the kind of grandson, exactly the kind of king that Otto,
because he was raised to be that. He's been taught to be that. Yeah.
He's been to councils. He is respected and loved by his mother. He has been taught you are the
and
heir,
anyone who spends any time around him can see that he is a stand-up person. Do you think that in those moments where Otto was being thrown out his hand, that he was like, man, I really just should have crowned Rhaenyra? Like,
I don't know. I was like, oh man, I don't think he ever would.
No,
I think it's too offensive to him and his Andalish ways for a woman to be crowned. It's just so offensive to the Andalishness and his and also one of the things that come up, which is actually next thing I wanted to mention, was quite clearly the Hightower Lannister comparison. Like, he wants his legacy is going to be that it's his children, his children's children, Hightower blood on the throne.
Yes,
just like Tywin Lannister, who also was Hand of the King, who was also the grandfather of
the kingmakers here.
Has his daughter marry the king. You know, there's so many parallels. We're meant to see Cersei, Alicent, and Otto, Tywin.
Ironic, Joffrey, because Cersei
Joffrey
has a lot in common with Rhaenyra, with the children.
Yes, yeah, good point. Although Rhaenyra, I was going to say Rhaenyra hasn't made them with her, ironically.
With her sibling?
Ironically, the Targaryen... But
she did make them with her uncle,
the Targaryen children, the Targaryen children are the heirs to the throne, are not bastards by incest. So there's...
Right, yeah, they're actually, they're not incestuous, and therefore they can have the throne.
Yeah, exactly. Why aren't they more up in arms about that and be like, can we just not have the incest ones? We'll have the bastard ones, but not the incest.
Yeah, but that's just because that's Targaryen exceptionalism.
I know.
Jaehaerys made sure of that.
But the Andals hate that too. So
they do.
Aegon has to shout, "I am the king."
That's like the opening scene is him smashing
up the Lego set, which Paddy Considine has done an amazing post on Instagram about.
Oh, did he? I should check. Yeah.
But Tywin says about Joffrey, if you have to shout that you're the king, you're not a real king.
You're not a real king.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to rip the books out of Rhaenyra's hands? And
the second time I watched
in the
it,
scene with
I looked
Mysaria.
closer. I think she was reading about Visenya and the conquest of the Vale and stuff.
I thought
it
so
looked
too.
like there was
a
dragons.
child.
What I want to do is get it again on my computer, pause it really close up.
Yeah.
So I can read those books.
Yeah.
I also wanted to pause on the High Valyrian writings on the wall and get someone to translate that.
Yeah.
Because there was High Valyrian glyphs, like in a kind of thing like that on the walls.
Yeah.
In fact, I love all of Dragonstone, considering everyone talks about it in the books. We've mentioned this many times on our main podcast, that it's a gloomy, gloomy, horrible place. And we've seen the mists and the clouds, but the halls, Rhaenyra's bedroom is lovely.
I know, it's beautiful.
And she's got that wonderful library full of knowledge, which I'm sitting there going, I bet Stannis burnt all this.
Or Baelor the Blessed before him.
Twatty, horrible, pooey Stannis.
Easy on Stannis.
I knew as I was saying it, I was like, oh shit, that's gonna death ray me through the computer screen.
Yeah.
But someone will have burnt all that, and that makes me sad. You made a really good point about the destroying of Viserys's Lego set. That is knowledge, more knowledge gone. There was a couple of people on that tweet that didn't understand what you were saying. And you're like, no, it's like history is gone. This is a model. He researched this. He may put other people to help. He was like
armchair historian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I bet the molds don't exist anymore. You know, now that he's gone, it's not likely. So it's not like it can be recreated. So just the little historian.
But all the knowledge, like he was going, this is the Onogrion, this is the thing.
That's exactly. He knew he researched where the buildings were and what they meant, and so that's just one more thing that won't get passed down through the ages.
I wonder if some of the books he based that on are actually in the library at Dragonstone.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That scene with Rhaenyra and Mysaria was wonderful.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be important later.
A lot of them together was excellent. How did Mysaria get that scar?
I know. I think it'll be answered later.
What was that scar? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, what?
Because I don't think she had it last season.
Did she not?
I don't know. I don't remember it. I feel like I would have noticed it.
Well, I didn't even notice it. I had to say to my partner, what scar are they talking about? And he's like, she's got one on her neck. And I was like, has she?
Oh, I noticed it like right away.
Okay.
But it was almost like she'd been hanged. And then cut down or something.
I was like, has she been garroted or had one of those emergency
tracheotomy?
Yeah. Quick Westerosi tracheotomy.
Yeah. That would be this way though, not this way.
Oh, that's true. That's
so it's true. To me it looked like a burn, like a, I don't know, rope burn maybe. I don't know. That's what I thought.
Maybe Daemon did it to her. Do you think
I wondered that too. But I didn't feel like she had it last year or last season.
And obviously it's Mysaria who tips off the guards.
Yeah, so Kristen Cole devises his plan and sends.
Oh God, we haven't even talked about Kristen Cole.
We have not.
We have to
go in like 10 minutes.
I know. Can I add as just the first thing I think of with Kristen Cole? First of all, he's a dick. Yes. Second of all, his treatment of Arik, fucking awful. I don't think we need to even analyze that.
We don't. He is so what's the word, like transference. He's so guilty for not being better and the prince dying that he needs to blame everybody else for his mistakes.
But it wasn't even like this is a subconscious projection of my guilt. It was like, I'm just gonna be an asshole to you right now. I know I did this.
I feel like he knew why he was doing it.
He knew exactly what he was doing. It wasn't like, oh, it looks like he's taking out, he's still subconscious, he's feeling guilty and it's like, no, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He is just being a complete.
Do you think he walked in with that plan? Do you think he saw Eric and already had the plan?
I don't know. I don't really care. I don't know. Like,
I'm just like, it would be very quick thinking on the spot.
I know. And that's why I wonder if he already had thought of it at some point.
I think maybe it had something he had already mulled over. And then when Eric pissed him off, and said, no, I'm not going to go change my cloak right now. He was like, okay.
I love the way everyone gets up when he kicks the table. Everyone's like, I'm just gonna go out.
Just gonna go this way. Yeah. It was good.
That
whole scene was great though.
Yeah, it was great. But the only and also Kristen Cole saying we want to end that. You could end this war now before it begins. And someone walks past with a massive quarrel of arrows.
Yeah.
In the background, showing all these quarrels, all these arrows.
Quivers. Yeah.
They are all gonna kill someone. They're being readied to murder people, probably small folk who will sign up for their lords and masters and go and get killed in a field somewhere.
Just him honing in so much on the dirty cloak. Your cloak is soiled. It's like, okay, Kristen. Let's talk about a soiled
it's just
cloak.
reminded me of something as well. Another quote was Aegon saying, "I want to spill blood, not ink."
Yes.
Which is the opposite of what Otto's trying to do. He's writing, and that again, it's a comparison to Tywin.
Yep.
Who thinks wars can be ended with a few words on a page.
Yep. The right bloodshed can end a war.
Yeah, the right bloodshed. It's better to kill a few men at dinner.
Yeah.
Than thousands.
50 men at dinner or thousands in a battlefield. Is it?
It is something like that. Don't quote us on that, but it's that.
No, but it's that's Tywin's sentiment. But then it's like, but is it? But
is it? But my final thing about Kristen is the only thing was what I was left with which is a very bad taste in my mouth. I just didn't want the last thing I saw on that screen was him finger blasting Alicent. It's like, why is this the last thing I get to see? This is the taste that is left in my mouth.
I don't hate it. I also
was a bit like, oh, it's cliche. She's slapping him, and then he's going to put his head on her, and then they're going to do it, and it's like, oh, come on.
Yep.
Come on,
They're
guys.
coming together in their guilt.
Quite literally coming together.
Well, are they? Like, I mean, we don't know that, but anyway.
He feels all powerful because he's the Hand of the King. He's like, I'm a powerful man now. Oh, let me put my fingers in you. And she's like, yeah. And I was just like, no. I know Mother of Baggins
really well. Yeah, Mother of Baggins.
She'd agree with me.
Yeah, I know everyone agrees with you. I'm just like the offshoot that I just think it's whatever.
But it just made me a bit like, oh, I just don't want to see Kristen doing. I just don't want to see him. I don't want to think about him like doing his thing in Alicent. I just don't want to see it. I just don't want it. I don't want it.
I know.
But I didn't want it to be the last thing I saw.
Yeah,
I think there could be other things. Like, why is this like we're leaving it for Alicent going, Kristen? No,
I think they should have ended it on the Cargyll fight. They could have thrown in the finger fucking scene
somewhere
earlier
else
in the episode.
Exactly.
Because the Cargyll stuff was so.
Oh yeah, that's the final thing we want to talk about.
Yeah, it's just it's so big.
I again had goosebumps. I was so upset because I really liked them. I didn't want this to come.
That's why I said last week, I'm like, maybe it'll just be like later. Like, I know it has to happen, but maybe they'll draw it out more. Maybe they'll have Eric on Dragonstone collecting information as Eric, and then it'll be better. But no, it was all very fast.
Yeah. Lots of people are obsessed with who won.
Who cares? No one wins. You're missing the point.
Everybody lost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've gone back and forth, but it doesn't matter. They both died. It was terrible. And this is like what you've mentioned in our notes about how we talked last time about like an eye for an eye, a son for a son.
Yeah.
And now it's brothers set against each other.
But that's the thing. So now literally, like they said in the episode where one soul split in two bodies, they're dead. They're both dead. Both sides have lost a Kingsguard. Both sides have lost the son. Their losses are equal, but it's just going to get worse. There's an old saying, but my mom used to say it all the time. But an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind.
Exactly.
And that's what happens here.
I think it's been making me, as I put out on Twitter the other day or yesterday, I've been thinking obviously about all the things that are going to come up and where they're going to leave the story. And normally things tend to be left either ambiguously or with a very slight positive turn. But there is nothing about this story when I was thinking, where will they end it? How will they end it? And I've asked and I've had some really good responses to the question, but the vast majority of people, like, it's going to be, you know, the sad faces of Aegon the Third, Jaehaera, you know, who, yes, peace has come, but how many people?
I don't even remember if Jaehaera lives through the series.
She does. She marries Aegon.
Mm-mm.
She does.
Mm-mm.
Jaehaera marries Aegon.
And then she dies then. Sorry.
She dies eventually.
She dies early then because
she dies early and then he remarries.
Okay. Because I'm thinking of the procession of women that he goes through.
But I think what most people believe that would finish it is pretty much Corlys declaring him king, and the betrothal of him to Jaehaera, thereby uniting both the families. But it's just so depressing because you're like, how has he got here? It's what Lucerys says on Driftmark. He says, I don't want to be the Lord of Driftmark because it means everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead.
And Aegon the Third will be king.
Yeah.
But everybody dies. Spoiler alert. Everyone dies.
Yeah.
There's no one left unscathed by this.
Well,
all the people that we're learning to love on the screen. All the people we're rooting for.
Alicent isn't dead yet.
That's true. No, but do you know what I mean? She isn't dead yet. But what I mean is like her end is horrible. She's just sad and alone and completely fucked by everything that's happened, the loss of her children, and everything like that. Like nobody wins, and pretty much everyone dies.
I think that's where it will end.
All the people that we're like, oh, I love Rhaenyra. She's dead. I love this. Dead. Isn't Larys called? He's dead. He's dead.
Thank God Larys dies.
I know. I know, but you know, people like villains and stuff. It's like he's dead.
Yeah.
You know, I really like he's dead. What about Chris got dead? He dies. Good. Can't wait for that.
But there are some people. There's one that
Corlys
we've met briefly. Corlys dies. He
lives till the end of it. He declares Aegon the king, and then it's because he's put in prison by Rhaenyra, and then declares, but is released, and Craig Stark acquits him of any wrongdoing in the death of Aegon, and he declares Aegon the Third king.
Yeah, and then he dies.
He dies later. I mean, everybody dies eventually. But what
I was gonna say is there is a character that comes in that gets a happier ending a little later. Nettles, if they bring her on. Oakenfist gets a happier ending. Bela's ending so far is happier. Cregan Stark's is happier. It's like the next generation there are some parts that have some fun and spice and happiness, right? And I think
that's true. That's true. It is there, but it's just the cost of it is so.
It's massive. Yes,
and the cost to the House Targaryen, who lose female Targaryenness, which is what we believe helps hatch dragons bond dragons. So and they lose almost all their dragons, their power, their history is gone. Like they never recover from this.
The showrunners did say it's called House of the Dragon and not the Dance of the Dragons, just to leave it open if they do want to continue past the dance. So it might go further than that depending on the popularity of the show.
I would love it. I would just love them to do it all.
Because I want them to bring, like with, Viserys gets taken, I want them to bring him and him back and stuff I want that stuff and Sandok the Shadow and stuff. I want that.
I don't think that they will do it because I don't think people have the stomach for this much Targaryen stuff. I do. Yeah. I would love it.
Get into the peaks.
But I think the peaks. But like I think other people out in the world
we'll see because we don't have Fire and Blood 2 also. We don't really know where it goes after Aegon's reign.
No. We have an idea from the world of Ice and Fire, but
kind of, but not as detailed.
And the histories, but not anywhere near as detailed.
Yeah.
And there's not. I'm glad they're doing. Obviously, they've got the Hedge Knight, which fills in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And the Duncan Egg stories. But I don't know how much else they'll want to fill in on TV.
I know. I'm curious. We'll see where it goes. Any quick predictions for next week?
I can't even remember what the trailer is. There's eggs in the trailer, aren't there?
There are.
Lots of eggs. And that there's been like theories about whose eggs they are and are they
That's
Daenerys's eggs and blah 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 blah.
that's insane in general, because like a hatchling isn't going to help you at this point.
No, no.
No.
So I do wonder what the eggs are about.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think maybe it's just a little like nod to the dragon seeds.
yeah, I was
Maybe.
looking ahead
Or
at the
like power.
story. Yeah, probably. I was looking
Um,
ahead at the story, and I think they're going to be marching out on Rosby and Stokeworth this week.
mm-hmm. Well, and Daemon
Um,
lands in Harrenhal.
yes, so there's going to be
So he's
Harrenhal
going to take
stuff.
Harrenhal because he's going to try and rally
Yeah,
the lords there.
yeah. I think there's going to be Blackwood Bracken.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be the Stonehenge and thingy. What because there's
Yeah.
battles up there. So there's going to be Riverland stuff, which is
So
exciting.
Cole's going to ride out. Daemon's in
Yeah.
Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're gonna watch Helena descend into darkness.
I hope not. I hope not.
But it's what happens. She does.
I know.
So
yeah.
I don't know what else. I don't know what Rhaenyra is going to be doing.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't know. I saw a spoiler potentially, but I don't want to say it here. But yeah.
Okay. Don't say it.
I won't say it. Because it's not confirmed or anything. Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
We'll
find out. All right.
Well, that's
anything else? Yeah.
From us. I don't think I've got anything else to add.
Perfect. All right.
But I think that should be enough to whet people's appetites for what is to come.
Mm-hmm. Let us know what you think. As always, tweet us, email us, Patreon us, check us out in all the places.
Yeah. Do. You get lots of lovely perks for being a patron. Like, for example, having our next episode. Months before
that's a big one.
Right now.
with the beautiful Cynrixian. And also don't forget to like and subscribe for us on YouTube. We are just trying to build the channel. So any of that, all of that helps to get us exposure.
Makes us a bit more searchable for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I tried to search for myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it.
No.
So like and subscribe.
Yes, please. Okay. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching and listening. Take care, everyone.
Take care. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.